Hello, this is Exploring Reflections, video 2 for Exploring Transformations. So the example says for reflections, we're going to reflect the given graph over the x-axis, and then we're going to take the exact same graph and reflect it over the y-axis. So when reflecting, the whole thing literally becomes a mirror image. And given that we're going over axes and not necessarily an arbitrary point, it's pretty easy to recognize if you've done it correctly, because if you can fold it along that axis, they should overlap, or overlap pretty closely if you do it right. So when doing this, you can take points, and that's the easiest thing to do, is just to pick a couple points that you can find pretty easily and reflect those specifically. So if we look at the given graph, we do have some points that we can use. We have 0, 0, which is the origin. We have this point up here, which is at 1, 3. We can also use negative 1, 1, and negative 2, 2. So when reflecting over the x-axis, you're actually changing the y values. So in essence, you are going to negate all the y values. Okay? So the x values will remain the same, but the y values are going to negate. So for negative 2, 2, that's going to become negative 2, negative 2. Negative 1, 1 is going to become negative 1, negative 1. 0, 0 doesn't really move because it's 0, 0. And then 1, 3 is going to become 1, negative 3. Oops. Okay, from here you just connect your dots, making sure that the graph remains similar to the original. And you're done. If we were to draw the original one back on, I'm going to do it in a different color just so that you can see the difference between the two. Okay, so that would be what the original looked like, and you can recognize pretty readily that if we were to take it and fold it along the x-axis, these two graphs would overlap. So it was done correctly. So that's an example of a reflection over the x-axis. So the y-axis is very, very similar, but in this case, instead of altering the y values, you're going to need to alter the x values. So we're going to negate the x's. Okay, so in this case, negative 2, 2 becomes 2, 2. Negative 1, 1 becomes 1, 1. Again, 0, 0 doesn't reflect because it's 0, 0. And then 1, 3 becomes negative 1, 3. Okay, connect those dots, again keeping the look and feel of the original graph, and you're done. Again, if I was to draw on the original, I'll go back to drawing it in on red. You can tell that they are reflections of each other. Okay. So again, if you were to fold the second one along the y-axis, the two graphs would overlap. And again, that's the whole point of a reflection. It's very similar to your reflection in a mirror. They're going to be mirror imaging each other. And so depending on if you reflect over the x or the y-axis, you simply negate the other variable. Okay? So here's the U-try. You're going to take the graph that I've shown, and you're going to reflect it over both the x and the y-axes. Please do as I've done in the examples and draw the reflection and then also the original so that you can visually see that your reflection was done correctly. Okay, so that's the graph. I'm going to leave it for another second or so. You can also pause to make sure that you have the right graph. Alright, that's the end of this video.